Chosen one. Stop. Before you scroll past this, I need you to hear something. You have been carrying something no one around you fully understands. Prayers you whispered into the dark that never seemed to come back with an answer. Doors you were certain God opened that stayed locked so long, you started wondering if you imagined the promise entirely. Mornings you got dressed, looked in the mirror, and put on a face that said, "I'm fine," while something deep inside you was quietly asking, "Lord, where are you?" You kept believing, without proof, without applause, without a single visible sign that any of it was working. And here is the truth that is going to change everything you thought about that season. Heaven was not silent. Heaven was scoring. What felt like a dead hallway was actually a hidden examination room. What felt like fog pressing in from every direction was actually formation happening at the deepest level of who you are. What felt like God turning his face away from you was God moving closer than he has ever been. You thought you were just surviving. You were being tested, not punished, not forgotten, not passed over, tested by a God who does not administer tests to people he has given up on, only to people he is preparing for something that requires proof of capacity before the full weight of it is placed on their shoulders. And here is what I need you to understand before we go one step further. You passed. Before this message ends, you will know exactly what that season was doing inside you. In the second half, I am going to show you the 3 specific areas of your life that are already moving right now. And I am going to show you the sign that the test is ending, because most people miss it entirely. You will not miss it after tonight. If this is already naming a season, you could never find words for type right now in the comments. I made it through. Because you did. You were not abandoned in that season. You were being measured in it. Let me ask you something that nobody has ever asked you directly. When was the last time someone looked you in the eye and said, "I saw what you did when no one was watching. I saw the morning you got up with a broken heart and kept going anyway. I saw the moment you chose not to become bitter, when bitterness would have been completely justified. I saw it, and it counted." Nobody said that to you, did they? Nobody applauded your consistency. Nobody handed you a certificate for the years you stayed faithful inside a season that gave you nothing visible in return. Nobody saw the private cost of what you were carrying. The sleepless nights, the prayers that felt like they dissolved before they reached the ceiling, the quiet grief of continuing to believe when belief had nothing solid left to stand on. Nobody saw it. But here is what I need you to understand. With everything in you, God saw every single second of it. And he was not just watching, he was reading the handwriting of your soul written in the dark, in the private moments, in the choices you made when the only witness was heaven itself. Now let me break something open that most people have completely wrong. When people imagine a divine test, they picture something obvious, a dramatic moment. A clear crossroads with a sign that says, "This is important. Your future depends on what you do right now." They expect a divine test to feel like a test. They expect a shift in the atmosphere, a warning, a signal to prepare. But that is not what a real divine test looks like, not even close. A real divine test does not arrive with a warning label. It does not announce itself. It comes dressed in ordinary clothes. It shows up looking like a hard season, like confusion, like silence from the God you have been faithful to for decades. Like a door that was supposed to open, still closed after months that turned into years. And here is why it is designed exactly that way. Because a test you know you are taking is not a real test. It is a performance. When you know you are being watched, you manage yourself. You bring your best behavior. You show your most composed face. You perform faithfulness instead of living it. But God is not interested in your performance. He never was. He is not grading how well you can look faithful under pressure. He is revealing what is actually inside you when the pressure is real and the audience is gone. Proverbs 17:3 says it plainly. The crucible is for silver and the furnace is for gold, and the Lord tests hearts. Not your resume, not your attendance record, not your public reputation. Your heart. The dark does not create character. It reveals it. A public stage can show the world your gifts. Only the wilderness can show God your substance, and substance is the only thing he was ever after. So think about what that means for the season you just walked through. The confusion was real. The silence was real. The delay was real. God was not pretending to be absent while quietly winking at you from a distance. The weight was genuine. The pressure was genuine. The moments when you could not find the light were genuine. And right there inside that genuinely hard place, with no instruction manual, no visible finish line, no one watching to give you credit, you had to make choices. Every single day. You had to choose whether to trust, when trust had nothing visible to stand on. You had to choose whether to stay soft, when everything in your life was pushing you toward hardness. You had to choose integrity in the private moments. The prayers no one heard. The forgiveness no one knew you gave. The times you refused to quit when quitting was the only thing that made logical sense. That was not just survival, that was the test. And here is the part that should stop you completely. The wait was not random. The wait was specific, specifically designed, matched to something waiting on the other side that required exactly that level of proof before it could be released into your hands. The size of the test always corresponds to the size of what is waiting. Let that land, which means the season that felt heavier than it should have been, longer than it needed to be, darker than you expected, was not a mistake. It was not the enemy winning. It was heaven measuring you for something that could not be handed to a smaller version of who you were before you walked through it. Nobody applauded you for staying faithful. Nobody saw the mornings you rose with a breaking heart. Nobody knew how expensive your consistency really was. But the God who made you, the God who breathed life into you before you had a name, he knew. He recorded it. He counted every moment you chose trust over bitterness. Every moment you chose to stay when leaving was easier. Every moment you kept your integrity when no one would have noticed if you had not. The test was not your pain. The test was your private response to it. If you stayed soft when life gave you every reason to harden, type right now in the comments, still faithful. Because what was being built inside you in that invisible season is directly connected to what God is about to place in your hands. And that is exactly what we are going to uncover next. I want to take you somewhere. I want you to close your eyes for just a moment and travel back thousands of years to a young man lying at the bottom of a dry pit in the middle of the desert. No water, no food, no way out. And the voices above him laughing belong to his own brothers. His name is Joseph, and the night before this moment, he had a dream. A God-given, heaven-breathed, undeniable dream of a future so large it made his own family uncomfortable. God had spoken over his life with such clarity that Joseph could still feel it burning in his chest, even as the dirt walls of that pit pressed in around him. And now this, no explanation, no warning, no divine voice saying, "Hold on, son, this is part of the plan." Just darkness, just betrayal, just the sound of his brothers selling him to strangers for 20 pieces of silver. Some of you know exactly what that feels like. Not the pit in the desert, but your version of it. The moment life fell apart right after God gave you a promise. The season that arrived without warning and took everything that felt stable. The people who should have protected you, who instead became the very ones who handed you over to your hardest chapter. Some of you have been carrying a promise so long it has started to feel foolish. You remember the moment God spoke to your spirit. You remember the clarity, the certainty, the fire of it. And then you watched years pass. And the promise started to feel like something you imagined. Something embarrassing to still believe in. If that is you, type right now in the comments, "I know that pit," because Joseph knows it too. He was taken to Egypt and sold again, this time into the household of a man named Potiphar. And Joseph did what faithful people do. He served with excellence. He brought order where there was chaos. He built something real in a place that was never supposed to be his home. And just when stability seemed possible, it collapsed again. He was falsely accused, thrown into prison for something he did not do, and the years passed. Let that land. The years passed. Joseph sat in a prison cell with a God-given dream and no visible evidence that it would ever be more than a memory. Here is what I need you to understand about those years. Those years were not wasted time. Prison was not punishment. Prison was hidden architecture. God was building load-bearing beams inside Joseph that no human eye could see, beams of character, beams of patience, beams of internal government that would be required to hold the weight of what was coming. You cannot govern a nation if you cannot govern yourself in a prison cell. You cannot steward abundance if you have never demonstrated faithfulness in scarcity. You cannot carry the weight of extraordinary influence if your character has never been tested under extraordinary pressure. The pit was not the death of the dream. It was the underside of the throne. And here is the line I need you to hear above everything else I have said. Joseph did not know he was in a test. He only knew he was hurting. He was not walking through those years with a heavenly instruction manual. He was not enduring with the comfort of knowing the ending. He was making choices daily, private, invisible choices about who he would be in the dark. Whether he would stay faithful when faithfulness had no visible audience. Whether he would maintain integrity when integrity cost him everything and rewarded him with nothing. And God was watching every single one of those choices. Every moment of quiet faithfulness in the pit, every act of excellence in Potiphar's house, every day in that prison where Joseph chose not to become bitter, heaven was scoring what no one else could see. And then suddenly, in a single morning, everything changed. Pharaoh had a dream. Joseph was summoned, and the man who had spent years invisible was standing before the most powerful ruler on earth. Not because he had forced his way there, not because he had spent his prison years building a strategy to escape, but because the exact moment arrived for which every single year of his preparation had been building. What felt like delay was development. What felt like silence was surveillance. What felt like punishment was preparation. And when Joseph stood before his brothers years later, the very ones who threw him into that pit, he did not say, "You destroyed me." He said something that should shake you to your core. You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. Genesis 50:20. Not in spite of the pit, not in spite of the prison, through them, precisely through them. Every closed door in your life, every year that felt like nothing was moving, every season where you smiled on the outside and ached on the inside, God was not watching from a distance. He was building something inside you that only that exact path could have built. And what was built in you during that season is the very thing that qualifies you for what is coming next. Joseph's story does not just tell you what happened to you, it tells you what was built inside you. And that, chosen one, is exactly what we are going to uncover right now. Now I need to take you somewhere deeper, because what I am about to show you is not just encouragement. This is the anatomy of what that season actually did inside you. And when you see it clearly, not just feel it, but see it, everything that felt like loss is going to look completely different. The wilderness did three things to you. They were brutal, they were holy, and every single one of them was necessary. It stripped you, not gently, not slowly, not with a warning. The wilderness is a fire that burns off costume jewelry. And what it burned first was the version of you that was built for an audience. You spent years, maybe decades, learning how to be the person people needed you to be. The strong one, the dependable one, the one who had it together. You built an identity out of being seen a certain way, and without fully realizing it, you became addicted to the reassurance, the nod, the approval, the quiet confirmation from the people around you that you were doing it right. And then the wilderness came, and the audience went quiet. The affirmations stopped arriving. The people who used to reflect your value back to you either pulled away or simply stopped showing up in the way they once did. And in that silence, something painful happened. You had to find out who you were without the applause. Proverbs 27:21 says it plainly, "The crucible is for silver, the furnace for gold, and a man is tested by his praise." Strip away the praise, strip away the performance, strip away everything built for someone else's comfort. And what remains? That is the real question the wilderness was asking. And you answered it. Every single day you got up and kept going without a crowd watching. You answered it. It built something in you that cannot be manufactured anywhere else. Hear me on this. The patience you carry now is not the same patience you had before the season. The patience you had before was untested, comfortable. It had never been seriously pressed. What you have now is different. It has been stretched past the point where most people let go, and it held. That is not a personality trait. That is a trained, proven, battle-tested quality that took years of pressure to produce. And the discernment. You read people differently now. You sense misalignment before it becomes visible. You know when something is off before you can put words to why. That is not anxiety, chosen one. That is a perceptive gift that was sharpened in a season where getting it wrong carried real consequences. And the authority, not the kind that comes from a title, not the kind that someone assigns to you in a public ceremony. The authority that comes from having stood in the fire and not collapsed. That kind cannot be given. It can only be earned in places where it costs something to stay standing. James 1:3-4. The testing of your faith produces endurance. Let endurance have its full effect, so that you may be complete and lacking in nothing. Complete, lacking in nothing. That is what was being built while you thought nothing was happening. And then it cleared the room. This is the part that still hurts. I know it does. You lost people. Some drifted. Some left without explanation. Some relationships that you thought would go the distance simply expired quietly, painfully, without the closure you deserved. And the grief of that was real. I am not going to minimize it or dress it up in spiritual language to make it easier to swallow. The loss was real. But here is what I need you to understand. They were not only taken from you, some were removed for you. The wilderness empties crowded rooms, so your next season can breathe. The people who were designed to walk with you into what is coming, they cannot occupy space that is already filled with people who were only designed for the chapter that has now closed. God does not remove people to punish you. He removes them to make room. And the space that felt like emptiness, that was not abandonment. That was preparation. That was heaven clearing the ground for a quality of connection you have never experienced before. People who speak the language of where you are going, not just where you have been. You did not just lose what left. You gained what could only grow without it. Now here is what I need you to sit with honestly. Pain alone is not proof that the season formed you. Plenty of people go through hard things and come out the other side bitter, closed, smaller than they went in. In a moment, I am going to show you exactly how to know whether this season truly built something permanent inside you. 5 specific markers that confirm genuine formation. Not feelings, not impressions, markers. Because what was built in you is directly connected to what is now being released. And you need to know what you are carrying before you can fully receive what is coming. If this season cost you people but gave you clarity, type right now, it made room. Because the clearing was never the end of your story. It was the beginning of the next one. I need to slow down right here. Because this is the moment where most people make a mistake. They hear something that resonates. They feel a stirring in their chest. And they walk away thinking, that was a good message. And then Monday morning arrives. And the doubt comes back, and the voice returns that says, maybe that was not for me, maybe I am reading too much into this. So, before we go any further, I am going to do something different. I am going to give you evidence. Not hype, not poetry, not something that sounds beautiful but disappears by tomorrow. Actual markers, quiet fingerprints, the test left behind inside you. Because heaven does not administer a season like the one you survived without leaving evidence of what it built. The season left a new interior architecture, and if you know what to look for, you will find it. Here is the first marker. Your tolerance has changed. Things that used to feel normal to you, certain conversations, certain environments, certain people who drain the life out of every room they enter, they no longer feel acceptable. They feel wrong, almost immediately. You pull back faster. You leave earlier. You protect your peace in ways you never used to. Some people around you have called it difficult. Some have called it distant. But that is not what it is. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life." What you are doing is not rudeness. It is discernment that is now functioning automatically. The test sharpened something in you, and that something is now protecting you, whether you consciously direct it or not. Here is the second marker. Your perception has deepened. You read people differently now. You sense when something is off before you can put words to why. You walk into a room and feel what is underneath the surface of what everyone is saying. You know when a smile is real and when it is performance. You know when an opportunity carries peace and when it carries a trap dressed up as a blessing. This is not anxiety. Do not let anyone tell you that is anxiety. Anxiety is fear looking for a problem. What you have is wisdom looking for the truth. The fire burned away the naivety. What is left is perception that was earned. Here is the third marker. Your inner life has gotten quieter. You do not need as much external reassurance as you used to. The part of you that used to urgently scan the room, checking faces, measuring reactions, needing someone to confirm that you were okay, that part has settled. Not because everything is resolved. It has not all been resolved. But something at the center of you has been anchored. Philippians 4:7 calls it the peace that surpasses all understanding. Not the peace that makes sense. The peace that simply is. That quiet is not emptiness. That is the signature of a spirit that has been through the fire and found that it did not burn. Here is the fourth marker. You have proven you can wait. And I do not mean that theoretically. I mean you have sat inside unresolved situations, situations that had no visible end, no clear instruction, no guarantee of return, and you did not fracture. You did not collapse. You did not walk away and blow up everything just to make the discomfort stop. You held it, day after day. That is not small. Hebrews 10:36 says you need endurance so that after you have done the will of God, you will receive what He has promised. Most people exit before the endurance completes. You did not exit. And here is the fifth marker. This is the one I want you to sit with. You know things you cannot explain. There is a quiet certainty operating inside you that does not come from reasoning. A sense about people that arrives before logic has time to weigh in. A directional pull in your spirit about which way to move that feels less like a decision and more like a recognition. You know something before you can say how you know it. That is not strange. That is not mystical in a way that should make you nervous. That is the intuitive capacity of a spirit that has been refined in the fire of a long and genuine season. The test did not just build character, it built perception, it built wisdom, it built an inner compass that is now calibrated to something higher than your circumstances. Now hear me clearly. If you recognize yourself in at least 3 of those markers, and I believe most of you recognize more than 3, type right now in the comments. I passed, not as a click, as a declaration. Let it be your agreement with what heaven already confirmed. Because here is the truth that has to land before we go any further. The proof is not that life got easy. The proof is that you are no longer who entered the fire. And that person, the one standing on the other side of everything, you survived. That person carries something the world has been waiting for. So the question that now becomes unavoidable is this: who exactly did you become in that fire? I need to slow down right here, because this is the part most people rush past. And rushing past it is exactly how they miss what God is already doing. You have been waiting for something dramatic, a burning bush, a thunderclap, a door swinging open so wide there is no way to misread it. You have been scanning the horizon for fireworks because after everything you walked through, you figured the ending would arrive with some kind of noise. But chosen one, listen to me carefully. Release does not begin like fireworks. Release begins like dawn, not an explosion of light, a shift, subtle, almost imperceptible. The sky does not announce itself. It simply changes. And if you are not paying attention, if you are still looking for the dramatic sign, you will miss the most important moment of your entire season. The room changes before the furniture does. The atmosphere shifts before the evidence arrives. And that is exactly what is happening in your life right now. So I want to walk you through 4 signs, not loud signs, quiet ones, the kind that are already present if you know what you are looking for. And I need you to search your own life honestly as I name each one. The first sign is peace that has no logical explanation. Not everything in your life is resolved. The answer may not have arrived yet. The provision may still be invisible. The door may still look closed from the outside. But somewhere underneath all of that unresolved circumstance, there is a quietness, a stillness at the center of you that was not there 6 months ago. Philippians 4:7 calls it the peace that passes all understanding. Not peace because everything is fine, peace that exists in spite of the fact that everything is not fine yet. That is not denial. That is not numbness. That is a spirit-level signal that the atmosphere has already changed even before the visible world has had time to catch up. The atmosphere changed before the evidence did. If peace showed up before your answers did, type in the comments right now, the light changed. The second sign is hunger returning. After a long season of surviving, something in you goes dry. The prayers become mechanical. The worship feels distant. The desire to sit in stillness, to go deep, to seek something larger than your problem, it fades. Not because you stopped believing, but because endurance mode consumes everything. But chosen one, has something been returning lately? A quiet pullback towards stillness, a hunger to pray that feels different from obligation, a desire to sit in the presence of God that is not driven by desperation, but by genuine longing. Psalm 42:1 says, "As the deer pants for the water brooks, so pants my soul for you, O God." That panting is not weakness. That returning hunger is a sign that something in you is waking up because the season that required pure survival mode has come to its end. When the appetite returns, the winter is over. The third sign is a changed relationship to what other people think. This one is subtle, but it is powerful. There was a season when you moved through your days with one eye always on the audience, measuring your choices against how they would be received, carrying the weight of perception like a second body. But something is different now. You can hold your position without needing to defend it. You can let a conversation end without chasing the last word. You can be misunderstood and stay standing. That is not indifference. That is not coldness. That is the authority that gets built in a person who has stood in fire long enough that the opinion of the crowd simply lost its grip. Galatians 1:10 asks the question directly, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? When that question stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling settled, that is a sign the test has done its work. The fourth sign is a quiet certainty about direction, not excitement, not a sudden rush of clarity where everything makes perfect sense. Something quieter than that, a settledness, a sense that you are being moved towards something even when you cannot see the full path in front of you. Not hope as an emotion, hope as a posture, a direction your spirit is turned towards steadily without needing full explanation before it will move. Romans 8:14 says, "Those who are led by the Spirit of God are the children of God." Led, not shown the entire map, not given every answer in advance. Led one step at a time by a spirit that knows exactly where it is taking you. And if that quiet leading is already present in your life, If that certainty is already there beneath the questions, then you are not waiting for the releasing season to begin. Chosen one, you are already inside it. The light has already changed, which means there is one question left. If the signs are already present, if peace came before the answers, if hunger returned, if the crowd lost its grip, if something in you knows which direction to move, what is God actually releasing now? That brings us to the part you have been waiting for this entire message. I need you to stop for a moment, not to catch your breath, not to rest. I need you to stop, because what I am about to say to you is something that most people will go their entire lives never hearing from another human being. You did not just survive that season, you were transformed by it. And there is a difference between those two things so vast, so significant, so eternally consequential, that if you miss it right now, you will walk into everything God is opening for you, still carrying the posture of someone who barely made it out. And that is not who you are anymore. So let me tell you exactly who you became. The first thing I see in you is a warrior, not the kind that charges forward with noise and aggression. The world has plenty of those. I am talking about the rarest kind of warrior that exists, the one who holds ground, the one who stands in the middle of a storm that would level most people and does not move, does not collapse, does not retreat into bitterness or self-destruction when the battle stretches longer than they planned for. Ephesians 6:13 says it plainly, having done everything, stand. That is what you did. When the pressure came to make you react, to make you abandon the position, to make you walk away from the promise, you stood. The fire did not erase your identity. It etched it permanently into the deepest part of who you are. That is not something you are becoming someday. The test already proved it. The second thing I see is a wounded healer, and I need you to hear this carefully, because this truth carries the weight of your entire next chapter. Your pain is not a liability. Say that again to yourself. Your pain is not a liability. Your pain is your authority. The suffering you walked through, the betrayal you absorbed, the grief you carried in silence, all of it, every single ounce of it, was being converted, not wasted, converted, from wound into medicine. Isaiah 53:5 tells us that by his wounds we are healed. The healer always carries the mark of the wound. That is not a contradiction. That is the design. The people you are about to reach do not need someone who had it easy. They need someone who went through exactly what they are currently drowning in and came back to tell them there is another side. You are that person. What you survived is what qualifies you, not despite the scars, because of them. The third thing I see is a pioneer. A pioneer does not follow a map. A pioneer makes one. There was no one ahead of you in the season you walked through who could tell you step by step how to navigate what you were navigating. No manual, no mentor who had already been where you were going. You were finding your way through territory that was yours alone. Your specific pressure, your specific silence, your specific version of the long road, and you found your way through. Pioneers are not chosen because they are fearless. They are chosen because they are faithful enough to keep moving even when the path runs out beneath their feet. The wilderness took your mask and gave you a mantle. And that mantle now carries the authority of someone who has been somewhere most people have never gone. The fourth thing I see is a seer. You sense things now that you could not sense before. You read people differently. You feel misalignment before it becomes visible. You know when something is wrong before you can put language to why. You recognize what is genuine and what is performance in ways the people around you do not always understand. That is not anxiety. That is not suspicion. That is perception that was sharpened in a season where getting it wrong carried real cost. 1 Corinthians 2:15 says the spiritual person judges all things. That discernment was not given to you. It was built in you, in the fire, in the long quiet, in every moment you had to navigate without clear instruction. Trust what you know. And the fifth thing, the one I believe will hit you the hardest, You are a voice. You have been quiet. I know. The season you came through felt too layered, too personal, too complicated to try to put into words. And in that silence, you may have wondered if you still had anything left to say, if what you carry even matters to anyone anymore. It matters more now than it ever has. The reason the test went so deep and lasted so long is that what you are going to carry is comprehensive. You cannot give what you have not walked through. And the people waiting to hear what you have to say, they are not waiting for a polished performance. They are waiting for someone whose voice carries the unmistakable weight of someone who has actually been there. That is your voice now. Honest in a way only the wilderness can produce. You are not waiting to become who God called you. The season already proved who you are. Warrior, healer, pioneer, seer, voice. If one of those landed in your chest just now, write it in the comments. Just one word. The one that belongs to you. And now that you know who you became, there is only one question left. What exactly is heaven opening because of it? Now I need you to lean in close, because what I am about to tell you is not general. It is not vague spiritual encouragement you have heard 100 times before. This is specific. This is targeted. And if the first half of this message named your season, then what I am about to say is going to name your next one. There are 3 areas of your life that are being unlocked right now. Not someday. Not when you get yourself together. Right now, while you are sitting exactly where you are. And here is the word you need to hold before I name them. Proverbs 13:12 says it plainly, hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life. You have been living in the first half of that verse for too long. What is beginning right now is the second half. The first area is your relationships. Something is being reorganized. You may have already felt it. People who were once constantly present have quietly moved back. Connections that used to feel normal now feel hollow and draining in ways you cannot fully explain. And, if you are honest, some of those departures hurt more than you have let yourself admit. But here is what I need you to understand about every single person who stepped back during your test season. God did not remove them to punish you. He removed them to protect what is coming. What is arriving in your relational world now is a completely different quality of connection. People who speak the language of where you are going, not just where you have been. People whose presence does not drain you, it restores you. People who recognize what is inside you without requiring you to perform it first. What you may feel is grief and arrival at the same time. And that is allowed. Do not mistake the grief for a sign that something is wrong. It is simply the honest cost of one chapter closing so another can open fully. What not to do is force the closed doors back open. Some of those relational doors completed their purpose in your life. Trying to reopen them is not loyalty. It is holding on to what is already finished at the price of what is ready to begin. What to trust is this: the right people are already in motion toward you. You do not need to manufacture them. The table is being reseated, and the chairs that are being filled were always meant for this version of you. The second area is your purpose and your calling. After a prolonged season of confusion, after the months, maybe the years where your sense of direction felt clouded and the assignment you knew was yours seemed to go completely quiet, something is lifting. The fog is clearing. And here is the truth that I believe will hit you like a wave right now. Your calling was never lost. It was never given to someone else. It was never cancelled because the season got hard. It was preserved, held in trust, waiting for the exact version of you that came through the fire to be ready to carry the full weight of it. Isaiah 46:10, I make known the end from the beginning. God did not lose track of your assignment while you were in the wilderness. He was holding it for you until you became who it required. What you may feel right now is a holy restlessness, an urgency mixed with peace, a sense that the thing you were built to do is close enough now to feel, not just hope for. What not to do is force a structure before the full instruction arrives. Do not build the platform before you receive the clarity. Do not launch the plan before you hear the specific direction. What to trust is this. The clarity that is coming will be practical. It will be specific. And it will carry a quality of peace alongside it that makes it unmistakable. The third area is your provision and your resources. And I need to say this slowly because this is the area where doubt tends to be the loudest. What is being released into the provision area of your life is not matched to who you were when the test began. It is sized for who you became by finishing it. Read that again. Deuteronomy 8:18 says, "It is God who gives you the ability to produce wealth. Not your strategy, not your network, not your effort alone. God gives the power, and when God releases provision after a divine test, it rarely arrives through the channels you were watching. It comes from directions you were not expecting, people you were not anticipating, doors you never knocked on. What not to do is use the survival strategies of the old season to try to generate the provision of the new one. The methods that kept you alive in the wilderness were wilderness methods. What is coming requires a different posture entirely, not striving, readiness. What to trust is this. The provision is already traveling toward you by roads you are not watching. It is already in motion. You cannot see all of it yet. But it is moving. What is being released is not sized for who you were when the test began. It is sized for who you became by finishing it. If you receive that, type right now in the comments, "What was locked is opening." And before we close, I want to put words to what I believe the Father has been wanting to say to you the whole time. Because what is coming next in this message is the moment everything else has been building toward. I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now. Not slow down, stop. Because what I am about to say to you is not a sermon. It is not a motivational speech. It is not something I rehearsed to make you feel good for 10 minutes before you go back to your day. What I am about to speak over your life is something I believe was placed on my heart specifically for you. For this moment, for the version of you that has been carrying something so heavy for so long that you have almost forgotten what it felt like to put it down. And I need you to hear it the way a child hears a father's voice after a very long silence. Chosen one. He saw you, not the version of you that showed up on Sunday morning with your hair fixed and your Bible in your hand, not the composed version, not the strong version, not the version that had the right answers. He saw the other one. He saw you on the night the weight became more than you thought you could carry. The night you sat in the dark, maybe at your kitchen table, maybe on the edge of your bed, and you asked God a question you were almost afraid to finish out loud. Lord, are you still there? He was there. He saw the prayer you whispered that felt like it hit the ceiling and fell back down on the floor in front of you. You looked at it, you picked it up, and you prayed it again. Not because you had faith that it would be answered, but because you did not know what else to do. Heaven kept every single one of those prayers. Not one word evaporated. Your faithfulness became a ledger in the courts of God, and every entry was recorded with a precision that would take your breath away if you could see it. Psalm 56:8 says it plainly. You have kept count of my tossings. Put my tears in your bottle. Are they not in your book? Every tossing, every tear, every night you could not sleep, every morning you got up anyway, every moment you chose to keep moving, when every reasonable argument said stop. God kept count. He saw the days you moved with no strength left. When you got dressed, not because you felt capable, but because you refused to give up. When you smiled at people around you, while carrying something inside that had no name and no visible end. That kind of quiet endurance, the kind nobody applauds, the kind that happens in rooms where no audience exists that is not small. That is the most powerful kind of faith there is. And then, and this is the part I need you to really hear. He saw the moments you chose not to become bitter. You had every reason. The betrayal was real. The delay was real. The silence was real. Nobody would have blamed you for hardening. Nobody would have faulted you for closing off the tender places and deciding it was safer to feel nothing than to keep feeling everything. But you did not close off. You stayed open, wounded, yes, tired, absolutely. But open. Do you understand what that cost you? Do you understand what it takes to remain soft in a season specifically designed to make you hard? That restraint, that integrity, that private, unseen surrender to a God who felt absent while you kept choosing to trust him anyway. That was the test, and that was you passing it. What is coming into your life now is not a reward for perfection. Read that again. It is not a reward for perfection, it is the harvest of faithfulness. And there is a difference that will change the way you receive what is arriving. A reward for perfection says you earned it by doing everything right. But a harvest of faithfulness says the seed you planted in the dark, the seed of trust, the seed of continued obedience, the seed of choosing God, when choosing God cost you something real, that seed has been growing underground this entire time. And the harvest does not arrive because you deserve it. It arrives because seeds, when they are planted in genuine soil, always produce fruit. That is not sentiment, that is the law of the kingdom. Galatians 6, 9 inches due season, we shall reap if we do not faint. You did not faint. The season was not empty, it was witnessed. Every silent moment, every hidden choice, every prayer that felt like it went nowhere. God was closer in those moments than he has ever been. Not watching from a distance, present, recording, preparing the release that is now already in motion. If that word is yours, if something in you just exhaled for the first time in a long time, I want you to type 3 words in the comments right now. Just 3 words. He saw me, because he did. And the proof of that is not just what you feel in this moment. The proof is what is already moving toward you. And that is exactly what I am going to show you next. Stay with me, because what I am about to speak over your life is the reason this entire message existed. You came into this message carrying questions you could not answer. You leave carrying interpretation that changes everything. You came in carrying the weight of a survival season that made no sense from the inside. You leave carrying an identity that was forged inside that very weight. You came in wondering if God had forgotten your name. You leave knowing he never stopped saying it. Not once. Not for a single day of that long, silent, grueling season. He was not absent. He was architects, building something inside you that comfort could never have constructed. And now that building is complete. So before you walk out of this moment, I need you to do something most people are never strong enough to do. I need you to receive it, not just hear it. Receive it. Open your hands, open your spirit, because what is coming next is not encouragement. It is a declaration of who you are now. Speak these words. Speak them out loud. Speak them like you mean them, because every syllable is already true. First, declaration. I passed the test I was not told I was taking. The season of proving is complete. Say it again. Let your own ears hear it. Because Proverbs 18:21 is not a suggestion. Life and death live in the power of the tongue. And what you decree today, heaven enforces tomorrow. Second declaration. What was locked has been released. I am walking into what has always been mine. Not what you earned, what was always yours. There is a difference. Earning implies you could have missed it. But God does not assign a promise and then revoke it because the journey was harder than expected. Romans 11:29 says it plainly, the gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable. What he placed on your life before you were born is still on your life right now. Third declaration, I am not behind. I am not forgotten. I am arriving exactly on time. Say it one more time, louder this time. Because the enemy has spent years whispering the opposite directly into your ear. Too late, too old, too broken, too far behind. And you are going to drown every one of those lies right now, with the sound of your own voice declaring what heaven already decreed. Now, let us pray. Father, we come before you right now not as people who are still asking if you are real. We come as people who survived the proof. We release the old identity, the survival version of ourselves that woke up every morning just trying to make it through. That version served its purpose. It is finished. We do not need it anymore. We release the belief that the delay meant denial, that the silence meant abandonment, that the closed doors meant rejection. We release every lie that dressed itself up as logic during the hardest seasons of our lives. We release the fear that when good things finally arrive, they will be taken back before they have time to root. That fear is not from you, and it ends tonight. And now, Lord, we call forth the relationships designed for this next season. The people who speak the language of where we are going, let them arrive without delay. We call forth the clarity of purpose that has been held in reserve. Make it specific, make it visible, make it impossible to misread. We call forth the provision moving from directions we are not expecting. Let it arrive in full, matched not to who we were when the test began, but to who we became by finishing it. We call forth the courage to speak what was forged in the fire, and the strength to receive what was promised before we were born. Cover it, Lord. Guard what is being built. In Jesus' name, amen. And now, I commission you. Arise, spiritual warrior. The ground you held in the darkness has earned you authority in the light. Walk onto it without apology. Arise, wounded healer. Your pain was never a liability. It was always the medicine. The people waiting for you do not need someone who had it easy. They need you, exactly as you are, with every scar still visible. Arise, pioneer. The territory ahead has no map, because you were built to make one. Go first. Heaven already went ahead of you. Arise, seer. Trust what you know. The perception sharpened in the fire is not anxiety. It is a gift. Use it. Arise. Voice. The people who have been waiting to hear what you carry, they are ready. And so are you. If this message named a season you could never explain to anyone else, type in the comments right now. I passed. Not as a click, as a declaration. And if someone in your life has been unusually quiet lately, someone carrying something they cannot find words for, send this to them today. Not tomorrow, today. Because they need to know the test has a purpose and the other side of it is real. The season of proving is over. The season of carrying what it built has begun. You did not just survive the test. You now carry the authority it built. Go.